it's 500 units, regulated, new build just outside of the Ring Road on the west side of Amsterdam. It was transacted last month, and I think the interesting thing about that deal is that we do see a commercial buyer buying regulated property, new build, and that's something that isn't happening with the Dutch institutional investors. They focus really on the non-regulated housing sector. And we now see a first deal of an international buyer buying regulated, and maybe that will change also the perspective of many Dutch institutional investors. And I think there is room for international investors buying regulated product, student housing or just starters apartment, as Bijl calls it. I think there's room for investment there, and just if you calculate with the landlord levy, then it's perfectly fine.
We've always been buying regulated. So we sympathize with Heitman on this one. It might be very interesting to see within the regulated sector if there's any stock with the ability to move it up to the non-regulated side. So that's a good return, because giving all these market perspectives, you still have to keep in mind what's the return you're offering to your investors, what kind of money will they put on the plate. And as we see today, there's interest, general interest from abroad, cross-border. This is great, but again said, partner up with a local manager, because it's a political game. Despite what the minister tells us, it's still a political game. Dealing with the G4 people here in front, you have to understand those people. They're nodding. We transformed Wijnhaven in The Hague, for instance, and that's not an easy task. It takes time, as you already explained, Marcus. So you have to do it in both ways, non-regulated and regulated. Team up with the social housing corporations also. There's no harm in there. And that's what we are aiming for. And I think by the time next year, the same time next year, let's agree to meet up here again and see what we got.